Title: A Journey Through Betrayal and Healing transcript. She tells me that she would do anything to make our relationship better. She would stay home every night, cook, even meet me at work, perhaps in the car whenever I needed. She would do anything to keep our marriage. So you guys read the title. Let's go ahead and get into it. The subject is, this is going to be the craziest story you will ever hear, really. Al Wright. He titles it The Story. Disclaimer. I apologize if there are typos, there's so much and I just voiced it so it's typed out that way. Let me know if you have any questions, still going through it, and I would love some life advice. I'm 24 and separated to this day. I don't know if I will ever be with another woman, but if I do, I hope it's not one like her. He starts off with, I don't really even know how to start this, but this is how my marriage has failed and why I know I need to get a divorce. To get this out of the way first, I am a 24-year-old guy who was very naive. Not only was I naive, but I was a little bit insecure going into the whole thing because of the fact that no woman has ever found me attractive. And this was not only my first relationship but my first anything with anyone. So I did not necessarily know what to expect. And when most guys would usually cut out of the relationship, I didn't know when that stopping point was, so I allowed things to go on when they shouldn't have. Me and wifey met back in 2017. She came to one of my house parties back when I had all the energy in the world. We were chilling, and I got her number that night as friends, and I was not expecting anything more between that November going into February. We had become best friends, and eventually she admitted that she had grown to have feelings for me, and from there we started dating. About 3 months into us dating, we both knew what we wanted, but even more, we started pushing towards getting engaged. I'm not sure when it happened, but at some point, somehow, we all started looking at venues for our wedding. I should have taken this as a sign that things are moving way too fast. I should have cut out, but I never did that July. I just went with things, got a nice ring and proposed. We were already best friends, so it was hard to fight those feelings that I had. Shortly after that, she became more bossy, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So I just agreed with everything, just like a simp would. My homeboys out of nowhere started telling me that they didn't know about this girl anymore, that they had heard some things. But of course, I didn't want to hear it because I was already engaged to her, and I loved her. We are now in December 2018. I had just moved out of my parents' home to be more independent since the wedding was going to be in April. She lived an hour away, so it would be easier to see her every day. Of course, me and her had to talk, and she said that she had slept with maybe 1 or 2 guys, and I kept it as that. You believe the 1 or 2, but what I didn't know is that she had lied to me about this. If hope was a person, it would be her. One night, I'm on Twitter, and I get a DM from an anonymous account with one single link. I open the link, and all I see right front and center. Is my girls sucking D in the back of a car. It had posted in around the time that we started dating. I knew my girl was a freak, but this hurt me directly in my soul. I went crazy. She had told me that she didn't know when or she didn't even know who it was and claimed that she had to have been on drugs at the time and couldn't remember much of that time in her life. And then she said she thinks it's RP and we need to catch the guy. Of course we talked and sex was so good, being she was and still is the only one I had been with. I quickly felt I had to let it go because it was before us and I made efforts to delete it. As I dug down the rabbit hole, I began to see more but knew I couldn't and wasn't ready to look at that. So I left it alone and continued our relationship. I had lost so much respect for her, but I still loved her. And in the end, we ended up still getting married. After we had gotten married, the RP was still bothering me, and I knew I had to get rid of it. So I went down the rabbit hole again and began to realize that the profile that had it all on there was clearly run by her. The account that sent me that link likely was from somebody else. I got insecure and went through her phone just to find out that she knew exactly when that video happened and who it was with. Her and her ex were texting back and forth about it, which hurt me even more and made me lose so much trust in her because I knew she was lying, and she was willing to lie to me to my face. There were for sure hundreds of photos and videos on her Tumblr history, a website that was all her and different guys, all of which anyone can find through a simple Google search. But even with that, our marriage started. Now was so great. She will cook every night. We were having the most fun either one of us have ever had in our lives until she suddenly and drastically got depressed. I tried to do whatever I could to make her happy, but when it's something medical, there's not much you can do. This was all beginning to pile up. The house began falling apart, and I would get angrier and angrier because she would be at home all day since she was a stay-at-home wife. I began to expect a lot out of her. She took it as me being abusive or mean. So I got a text one day that said that I am no longer her husband and she needed some space, which led to her beginning to hang out more and more with her new friends that I had never met in my life, nor was she going to have them over. I was never going to meet them, according to her. I tried to be supportive because before this, I had accused her of cheating due to the obvious insecurities I had built up because of that big old lie. One day, I came upstairs and heard her on the phone with her new friends talking about how she was hanging out with this guy and how he makes her feel, and a number of other things. After she had gotten off the phone, I was asking her for clarity on what I had heard, which made it worse because she called me insecure and told me essentially that I was tripping and I didn't hear what I thought I heard. There goes gaslighting, guys. Shortly after this, she began taking long drives because I have been working from home lately. One night, she had not come home until around 2 o'clock in the morning, stating that her and her friends were having too much fun, and she had been smoking marijuana, which I knew she did, and she had gotten too high and couldn't make it home. I let it go music, although I shouldn't have because I had caught her in another lie a week or two before when I called one of her older friends I knew, and the friend said she hadn't been over there in forever. Shortly after this, I would leave in the morning and not see her until the next day, if not when I'm going to bed. She stopped coming home, and I knew something was up, but I didn't know what to do since it had already been put on me that I'm being overly insecure and not giving her her space. We get to May 2020. I'll come home from work, and yet again, she was not home. Earlier in the day, she sent me a picture of her and her friends. I noticed that her wedding ring was not on, though she claimed that she was getting her hair done, and in that picture, she had a specific pair of shoes on. But yet when I come home, the shoes are in her closet as if she had taken that picture much earlier. Oh, she gotcha. I go for a walk and I try to clear my head, but soon go back inside. I'm in it. I got on my computer that she also used. I ran a script that would log me into her computer account, and I got into her email. Nothing out of the usual there, but then I remembered all of her photos. She backs up through Google Photos. So I go to that website and see all that I was expecting to see. Screenshots between her and this guy claiming that she needed abortion money since they had effed without a condom. Oh my gosh, she was telling me that she might be pregnant around the time she was texting him back and forth as well. Not only did I find screenshots of text messages, but I found screenshots of a Tinder account she had made, as well as a fake Instagram that I did not know about. I was in shock, in pure disbelief. I'll spare you some of the dramatics on my end, but after a conversation, she tells me that those accounts are run by her new friend to try and finesse them out of their money because it's a hot girl summer for them, and that there was a party and she had gotten too high, and next thing she knew, she was on her back and that she had been taken advantage of. I burst out in tears, losing my mind. I tell her we need to report this man, but she says that not only does she not want it to be in the police database, but her friend was also taken advantage of as well, and that her friend's boyfriend ended up killing that man, which sounds totally unbelievable and extremely crazy. I agree that sounds insane, but when I'm already heartbroken, irate and confused, I was believing everything she had said. Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, listen, that story does sound crazy. First of all, I don't listen. Here's the thing. I don't think they were taken advantage of. They might have been doing some things on the side and the boyfriend caught them. Boom, that could have actually happened, or she could have made the whole thing up. Either way, I agree with you. It's crazy, and it's crazy that you believed her, but let's keep going. She tells me that she would do anything to make our relationship better. She will stay home every night, cook, even meet me at work to have sex in the car whenever I needed. She would do anything to keep our marriage. And of course, we just try to jump back into things. But as I began to question things over that month that followed, she became less and less willing to answer, even stating that I did not deserve the answers after asking so many times about it. In my opinion, it was because her story was beginning to fall apart. Absolutely, every time she would tell me, there would either be a new detail or detail change. About a month ago, she tells me that she believes that it could be that she was never taken advantage of, that all the girls are making this story up, and nothing ever happened, and we can try and go back to what we were before. An experience like that mentally matured you. I looked at her with the most disgusting look that I have ever given her in her life. I could not believe what she was trying to do right now, act as if nothing had ever happened, and all the pain and suffering that she had just put our relationship through wasn't a thing. A week after that, knowing what I knew and due to the huge lie and lies she has been telling me before, I knew that I couldn't do it anymore. Look man, I'm a Christian, so I believe the only reason for divorces is if someone cheats. I cut my losses and I announced to her that we are separating. Since then, I have had the most stress-free life since 2017. I cannot believe all the crap I was willing to put up with and all that she had done. I did not believe in the red pill. I'm gonna be honest, but what I do know is that women will try anything to get over on you. It's about knowing what you're worth. Wow man. So you ended with you do not believe in the red pill. Surprising after what you've been through. And even after that, you said you understand female nature, or let me not misquote you. But what I do know is that women will try anything to get over on you. Female nature, you understand that, but you don't believe in the red pill. I don't know if you're just not as familiar with it or you haven't heard enough information or things, but I did find that interesting. I'm not gonna come down on you because you don't you don't belong here. You don't be in a car, that's no marriage. Let's stop on the marriage for a minute. Let's get some things figured out, But you said you were new, this was your first anything, first everything. I get it, but you can't let that blind you. So, anybody else listening to this who has, they're in a first-time situation, and they're hearing this, and they're let me know in the comments, and if you want to submit the story, send it to me.